You have one new message.
Hello, Henry? It's me, Jake. It's been a few months since we last spoke. I heard your university is trying to find interns for different research teams, including SSA. To be honest, I called to ask you if you would like to work with me. We don't have much of a budget, but if you'd like to hear more about my offer, I'll be waiting for Junior Emerald Isle in North Carolina to discuss further details. So I hope you consider the offer and enjoy the rest of your day.
What's up, buddy? It's me, Greg. We welcome to your new job here at SSA. I don't know why you accepted, if the pay is even worth it. Anyway, welcome to your first night. I know perfectly well that you are alone in the palace and the rest of the team is holed up in the hut. Anyway, the truth is that I will explain a little bit about the tools you have at your disposal. One of those is a monitor with security cameras along with audio decoy. The latter will help you avoid one of the many gas that roam the building, being the Mickey Mouse suit with the colors in negative. You see, the guy is blind. However, he has a good sense of hearing and relies heavily on that to get around. The simple actuation of the cord is enough to make him retreat and go in the direction where you played the audio. Of course, not all of these loons are blind. There are exceptions to the rule that you may see as you spend more nights here. By the way, I forgot to mention that there is limited power here. So yes, you have to manage your resource wisely so you don't go dark. And well, that was all. Not without telling you one more thing, and that is, don't even think of breaking or damage any of the equipment or the place itself. They are very expensive things, and we don't have so much money, so to send them to be fixed. Anyway, have a good night, and good luck.
Hello, it's me, Lisa. Congratulations on completing your first night. Tonight, I will give you more details about what these critters are. To begin, I would like to tell you that these critters are made up of three species: Sweets, Toons, and Humanoids. In general, many of them follow almost the same patterns of birth, of behavior, and way of attack. By this, I mean many of them are docile, dark-side, and have a slight sense of milky on their bodies, despite the fact that some are made of clothes and others are organic. Of course, humanoids are curiously an exception to this rule. One more thing is that during your 5 nights in this place, you will not only be in that cold and lonely office, since you will also have to go to some places to pick up something. Therefore, you shall bring a flashlight and a camera with a flash. Yes, be careful. Without further ado, have a good night and good luck.
what's up, buddy? It's me, Jake. Congrats on completing your second night, and thanks for picking up the items we asked for. On a more important note, there's something you should know. The more nights you spend working here, the faster your energy will deplete. Since we're using a crappy generator we had lying around, but it was either that or spending all the money on a new one and going broke. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry if this sounds kind of annoying, but you should go to the Pirates Caverns after finishing up your shift. Though I recommend being careful, as that place is a lot more unstable than we thought. And before I hang up, I thought you might have wanted to hear about this. This morning, Greg and Vincent were in the boat, and they found a decaying tape under the name Suicide Mouse. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's a good sign. Well, have a great night, and good luck!
I cannot see what has not yet been seen. The further I go, the louder and cloudier it becomes.
for revenge.
Good evening, Henry. It's me, Vincent. Congratulations on completing your third night, and thank you for finding the items that we asked you to look for in the Pirate Caverns. Truth be told, we are very grateful. Welcome to your fourth night. On this particular night, a new tool has been added to your disposal, that being a temperature gauge. This same one works to avoid certain specimens. You see, some are sensitive to high temperatures, so you'll have something else to get rid of them. But try not to use it too much, as having it active all the time will consume more energy and make the specimens move faster than usual. Also, I want to assign you your last mission with this looking for stuff, being that you must go to the warehouse to look for a few things. But be very careful. According to Lisa, there are no longer 2 guests lurking around the place, but now there are 3 of them. Well, that's all I have to say. Have a good night, and good luck.
Don't love one. What's up, buddy? It's me, Greg. Congratulations for completing our fourth night, and thanks for finding the objects we asked you to look for in the warehouse. That's enough to finish our essay and thesis of the place. I'm sorry if it has become quite tedious, these tasks. Remember that we are quite far away, and as you are closer, you make it easy for us. Not to mention that we are busy gathering information. Tomorrow we will go abroad to deliver everything we investigated to the Disney Corporation, and we will receive our due pay. Mind you, don't complain about the pay you get. We'll get just as lousy pay anyway. Anyway, have a good night and good luck on your last night.
After having survived my 5 nights in that inhospitable place, I can draw many conclusions regarding everything I experienced. After some not very pleasant surprises along the way, I realized why the Disney Corporation does not want to know more about the existence of this place. It was not only because of the destructive criticisms directed at the park, honestly that is another matter, but to hide the truth from us being the true purpose of this place. From creating and experimenting with dream creatures, which are nothing more than simple lifeless abominations, which some inexplicable force infiltrated our existential plane. Leaves a lot to think about, don't you think? Not to mention all those incidents that occurred in other parks, such as the incident in Room Zero or various experiments they did with humans decades ago, which makes me doubt the morality and ethics of this company. Oh yes, not to mention that fateful day when the Mickey Mouse costume with the colors negative mounted a show where he ripped his head off, hurting a lot of sensitive people. More recently, a rumor has been circulating where an urban explorer went inside the palace, and since he came out, he's never been the same. Wow. There are so many things I can say, but I don't have enough time and clarity to tell everything. My thoughts are like a big snowball. They tell me so many things, but I simply cannot express them. There's nothing more to say. I'll be leaving. Sincerely, Miller.